You're eating healthy, your weight is normal. In fact, maybe you've even gained weight recently. So why is your period still missing? A lot of people think that period loss only happens to women who are underweight, but that is simply not true. Today, I'm going to tell you how to know if you're still underfueling for fertility, even if the scale looks normal. I'm Lindsay Lesson, registered dietitian who helps active women recover, regulate, and optimize their cycles for fertility so they can get pregnant naturally and avoid IVF. The majority of the women that I work with who have functional hypothalamic amenorrhea are a normal BMI, sometimes even on the higher end of normal. So if that's you, you are not alone. Let's start with one of the most obvious flaws. BMI is a poor metric of someone's health or how well they're fueling. All BMI tells us is your proportion of your height to your weight. It tells us nothing about how much energy you are taking in through food, how much energy you're expending through your normal daily job and planned exercise, or how safe your body feels to make hormones, ovulate, and be able to get pregnant. For my active girlies, BMI also tells us nothing about your body composition. So you could have a normal BMI, but too low body fat to be able to support hormone production and fertility. You can also be a normal weight, but be in a chronic energy or calorie deficit, meaning you're not eating enough to support daily functions plus the movement that you're doing. Again, we see this a lot in our athletes and our highly active women because on paper, it's gonna appear like you're eating a lot. In fact, it might look like you're eating more than the people around you. But when we add up all of the physical activity and the calories expended through your job, through practices, additional activity you're doing, counting your steps, a lot of times the numbers aren't adding up, and that's what's keeping your hormones suppressed. Think of your body like a budget. If your expenses are higher than your income, even by a little bit, you're gonna appear fine on the outside, but internally, you're gonna be continually overdrafting. Here are some of the most common signs that I've seen in the 400 plus clients that I've worked with that are underfueling for fertility, even though their weight and BMI is normal. Number one, thinking about food a lot because you're underfed and it wants to have more fuel. What this might look like in a practical sense is that you find yourself constantly scrolling TikTok, looking at what I eat in a day videos. You might be on recipe apps, constantly planning your meals, thinking about the next time that you're gonna eat, maybe even fantasizing about having cheat meals or meals out, or this isn't that your body is doing anything wrong, it's just trying to get you fed. Another thing that you might notice is that you're feeling kind of cold all the time. You have cold hands, cold feet, or you find that you're always reaching for an extra jacket, even though everybody else in the room seems to be totally fine with the temperature. You might also notice a lowered libido or decreased interest in being intimate with your partner, even though you really love them. You might also find that it's hard for you to sleep through the night and you find yourself waking up often in between 2 and 4 a.m. That's a sign that blood sugar is dropping too low during the night, and one of the most common culprits for that is not eating enough during the day. You might also find that you feel guilty whenever you're taking a rest day or a day off from working out. Or when your schedule gets too tight and you're unable to fit a workout in, you might find that you find yourself feeling anxious, looking for extra ways to sneak more movement in, ways to keep your body active and in that chronic fight or flight state that it's staying in because it's underfed. And by the way, that chronic fight or flight is one of the main reasons it's so hard for you to get your period back. You might also, like a lot of our clients, have a lot of gut issues. You're struggling with chronic constipation, bloat, or feeling full really easily while not eating that much more food. This is a huge problem for period recovery because one of the things that you have to do to get your period back and be fully fertile again is to eat more food. We work with a ton of clients in this exact situation, so if you're struggling with this, you're not alone and there is a solution. Last sign that we see in so many of our clients that are struggling with underfueling for fertility is feeling totally fine and normal during the day, but then feeling like you have this insatiable appetite at night, which often turns into binge eating. And binge eating becomes problematic because it completely stifles your appetite for the next day, and round we go in this chronic cycle of undereating, overeating, undereating, overeating, which sends mixed messages to your body about energy availability and what your body really needs to make hormones and be able to get pregnant. So if you are experiencing any or all of these signs or symptoms that I just described, please know that none of these things are random. These are signs that your body has slipped into survival mode. And the third sign that you might be underfueling for fertility, as you may have guessed, is that your periods start to become irregular or completely missing. When your brain senses low energy availability, whether it's through intentional dieting or restrictive eating, whether you're just getting too busy and you're forgetting to eat, or you're just trying to eat super clean and you don't even realize that you're coming up too short on energy, it sends that signal to your brain that, hey, this is not a safe place to reproduce. reproduce, and that's when it starts to downregulate hormone production. What you'll start to notice is that the LH pulses start to slow down. So if you're tracking your fertility on ovulation predictor kits, you may not be seeing that clear sign that it's indicating that your body is gearing up to ovulate. And you may not also get that subsequent temperature rise to confirm that ovulation has happened. You will also start to notice that estrogen levels are low, so whether you're taking a blood test on cycle day 3 and you can actually see those numbers, or you might just start to notice that your periods start to become lighter. Maybe traditionally you were bleeding for 5 days and now you're only bleeding for 3. That's a sign that your estrogen levels might be too low, or that your progesterone levels are low because you're not ovulating. With inconsistent or absent ovulation, you will also probably notice that your periods start to become more irregular. Maybe they're coming really short together, they're coming every 20 days, or maybe they're really spread out, they're coming every 30, 60, or 90 days. With that, your body can be slipping into what is known as functional hypothalamic amenorrhea, or going longer than 3 months without a period at all. When your period disappears altogether, it's not because your body is broken. Remember, it's just because your body is protecting you, slipping into that survival mode, and prioritizing whatever energy it's getting for higher body functions. Once your body starts to receive consistent energy through carbs, protein, and fat, emphasis on the carbs and fat, as those are often the most restricted macronutrients I see in the women that are struggling with period loss. Once it receives adequate nutrition paired with proper rest, it will start to trust you again, and ovulation will turn back on. One of my clients, Jean, was in this exact same situation. Eating healthy, working out consistently, but hadn't had a real period in years. In fact, her period had been missing since high school. She lost her period in high school, but was placed on the pill to fix it. It wasn't until she came off the pill 10 plus years later in hopes of starting her family that she realized that her body wasn't cycling on its own. Jean ate whenever she felt hungry, so she thought, surely I'm eating enough. But in reality, her body was running on fumes. Once we increased her total calorie and carb intake through consistent meals and snacks, and built in real rest days, her cycle returned in just 12 weeks. Jean actually never got a recovery period because after we confirmed ovulation, 2 weeks later, she discovered that she was pregnant. So if your period is still missing despite being a normal weight, it doesn't mean you're failing or doing anything wrong. It just means that your body needs more targeted support to feel safe enough to ovulate again. All right, so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, all right, but what am I actually doing wrong? What am I actually missing? That's where my free quiz can come in. Take my free quiz below, Fertility Fix for the Fit Girl, to identify exactly what is blocking ovulation for you and how to fix it.